Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to a new edition of Urban Sentinel Live. I'm your host, Reggie Kearney, and with me tonight is the infamous Raven Thissel. Raven, Happy New Year, and what's up?
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back. Happy New Year. It's always a good time at Urban Sentinel Live.
Yes, well, we enjoy having you. I really enjoy having you because um, we're talking about a topic that's very important uh, and it needs to be talked about mental health. First, before we get started, we want to send out our love to Lord, how mercy, how quickly I forgot Regina King. We want to send our love out to Regina King, the loss of her son. And again, it's coming back to mental health because the one thing, and this is my opinion, the one thing we can't do as parents or as friends or as loved ones, we can't look into a person's mind and see what's going on. So we don't know what is making that person tick. We can probably see somebody going around laughing all day long, having a jolly time, but we don't know what's going on in their mind. So, Raven, before we get started, how have you been doing?
I've actually been doing wonderful. I had a really great end to my year. This year is going great. I've been doing a lot of shadow work and emotional healing and things like that. So the topic at hand is right on time for me. But I am really excited about this type of work that I've been doing on myself, and the people in my life have been having really similar experiences. So watching everybody around me grow and growing myself has just made this year so far like the best year ever.
Amen, amen, amen. So, look, how do we prepare ourselves mentally for a new year? I mean, we're coming out of the old year, and for some of us, we probably still got some of that baggage from the old year. Some of us have come out of Christmas, the holidays, depressed because of the loss of a loved one, or this
Mhm.
is the first year we're without that loved one. We're still going through COVID, okay? A new strand, we're losing people, we're losing friends. So, how do we prepare ourselves to be as mentally fit as we can be in a new year?
I like that question. That's a tough question to answer.
Hmm.
But I like the question how, right? It gets us thinking about solutions. It puts us right into a solution focus. Um, so I would say it definitely is a case by case, but you
Hmm.
can never go wrong, whether it's a new year or the middle of the year, the middle of the afternoon, by choosing yourself. So the first step I would always say is making the decision that I am going to be well. I'm going to do what it takes for me to be well. And that means sometimes that we have to put other things down. We have to put other people's expectations of us down. We have to maybe even put our expectations of ourselves down. Um, so showing up for ourselves, and then also choosing to be very compassionate and gentle with ourselves, the same way that we tend to be with the people who we love most. Maybe if there's a child in our lives, we kind of handle them with kid gloves, or maybe our parent, whomever we are the most gentle with, to then turn that same compassion onto ourselves and that gentleness. I would say that's where you're going to find the best start if you're just now entering a space of wanting to be mentally well, especially going into the new year. And so then you have the freedom to decide, what does that look like for me? What does me focusing on what I really need look like? What does me being really nice to myself, kind to myself look like?
But okay, good, good, good. But okay, are there any exercises? We talk about exercise in the mind and exercise in the body, exercise and everything. Is there anything we can do as far as exercising our mind, our brains to bring more positive aura around us? As as
Yes,
we navigate through this new year.
absolutely. The first thing that comes to mind is journaling. A lot of people gave up journaling when they were kids. Or, a lot of men happen to think that journaling is really more of a feminine thing to do. Journaling is one of the most healing practices that you can incorporate into your day to day. It gives you an opportunity to mentally dump in a safe space. You can write everything you're feeling down, everything you're thinking, write down what you had a dream about, what did you eat. It also gives you a benchmark later on to see how far you've come. Because sometimes we tend to feel like we're not doing enough, we're not doing much, we haven't done much, or we forget about our accomplishments, or we forget how down we were, this time last year, and now look at us. So the journal gives you the opportunity, if you choose, to watch your progress. And it also reduces your cortisol levels. It's going to cause a physical reaction of healing and calmness in your body. So you're going to see a lot of different types of improvement in the way you think, the way you speak to yourself. Um, so the first thing I would say is journaling. For those who do want to jump into journaling, I have created a healing journal, a companion journal, a workbook for you to go through that has prompts for you to help guide you through some really deep thinking on how you can move forward in your own healing journey. And if you're interested in that, I'll definitely share more information there. So journaling would be the first thing I would recommend. And then another thing is to become really self-aware. So start noticing in your mind, in your own thoughts, where am I being rude to me? There's so many times where we don't use very positive language about ourselves, just in our thoughts, in our mind. And we're reinforcing negative behaviors, negative self image, and poor health on ourselves when we do that. There are several really beautiful and amazing studies where they show how water molecules, if you speak positively to water molecules, the crystal formation of the water changes. The molecule shape changes into these really intricate, beautiful snowflake-like designs. And then when you speak negatively to just regular old water, they make these deformed and dark and evil-looking shapes. And so when you translate that, people have done it to plants as well. Plants are made largely of water, just like us. When you speak positively to plants, in these studies, they have two identical plants, same amount of sun, same amount of water, at the same times of day, and one they're speaking positively to, and one they're speaking negatives to. Oh, you're stupid. You're not good enough. You're not worthy. You're never going to do that. You're never going to be as tall as this other plant. And the plant that you're speaking positively to is always healthier. It stands up straight, it's taller, the leaves are bigger, it's a healthier plant. And then the plant that you've been speaking negatively to is hanging down, it's much less healthy, and it's probably not going to survive, even though it's getting the same amount of physical nutrients. And so the way we speak to ourselves and others definitely matters. It not only has an effect on our mental, which is what we're talking about, but it's going to affect every part of your being. Our brains are made so much of water. And so, in addition to that being the main place where your thoughts are happening and affecting you, where other people's information is being processed, your brain cells are taking in those messages. The water in that space is changing molecular form. So when you are in your own head, no one's saying these things to you. Maybe they've said them in the past. Maybe there's some things that you need to unlearn the negative self-talk, right? So that would be the next thing. Maybe you say things like, "Oh, I'm just not good at relationships," or "I'm a mess. I just can't seem to get it together," or maybe "I'm just broken." And instead of that, start saying, "I'm healing. I'm healing. I'm healing in the area of relationships." And when you do that, you're creating space for yourself. You're creating hope for yourself. And you're sending a message. You're creating accountability with yourself and others when you do that as well. Because now you've invited somebody on a very vulnerable journey on with you, even in a small way, by informing them that, no, I'm healing. You can even correct people with that sort of language. "Oh, you know how Raven is. She's just bad at relationships."
Mhm.
No, actually, I'm healing in that area. So changing your language is extremely powerful. And if that was the only goal that you set for yourself in the new year, that would be one that could change your whole life, and the lives of everybody that you know. So I would say journaling, changing your language about yourself, whether you're thinking it or whether you're speaking it. And then I would also build on top of that and say, when you're journaling, Write down what those negative things are that you have to correct. Write down what you notice yourself thinking. Track your own patterns. And then you can create a plan of action to counteract any thoughts that are holding you back. You can begin to say, okay, well, I normally think thoughts like I'm a failure. I'm a failure. I'm going to fail. I mess everything up. These are the thoughts that normally come to me. So let me write down what those are. And then I'm going to also write next to them, here's what I want to replace that thought with. I am worthy. I am good enough. I can. And then, as simple, and it may feel cheesy even at the beginning, because it felt cheesy for me when I started. And I was thinking, like, this is not going to work. This is stupid. My mentor actually told me to do this. And the first day that I was doing it in the mirror. This was my homework. She told me I had to tell myself in the mirror one thing I like about myself, one thing I love about myself, one thing I appreciate about myself, and one thing I admire. And I couldn't do it at first. I stood in the mirror. I couldn't think of one thing I liked about myself. I stood there and cried. But after 2 weeks of doing that, I had a completely different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
So doing these types of exercises where you are applying practical knowledge, you don't just know these things on an intellectual level, but you're drilling them into yourself. You're brainwashing yourself with this positivity. And it's not just positivity for positivity's sake, it's true, right? So you're getting yourself to believe things about you that are true instead of things that are false.
Now, how do we get through to the young people today? I guess the millennials concerning their mental health. And then when I was coming up, I'm a little older. Okay, we didn't have a lot of things. We didn't have nothing to put us in depression. I mean, honestly, because we weren't surrounded with technology when I was coming up. If we wanted to make a phone call away from our house, we went to the payphone. Okay, we spent our time growing up, in the gym playing basketball, on the football field playing football. We were more outdoorsy. We were more into fitness and physical. We didn't have nothing else to do. Okay, it wasn't the shows that are on TV now weren't on when I was coming up. Okay, you had three channels. I remember coming. We had four channels, and that was it. Now you got 10,000 channels. You got Facebook and Instagram and a whole lot of other things to play on the emotions of young people now. When the thing, when they receive comments on Instagram or Facebook that are negative, they play into it. It plays into their psyche. So, what is your message to young people for 2022 to get them to step back and breathe in the fresh air and enjoy life, and not let technology drive their psyche?
Such a good question. There's so many things that I want to pick at that. So I'll
Mhm.
make my circle. Um,
Okay.
so to answer your question, what I would say to my generation, which is millennials,
Mhm.
is that we need to unplug regularly. We have to make unplugging from social media, unplugging from TV, a regular practice because these tools are designed to have an effect on us mentally. They're designed by scientists and technology experts and social psychologists who literally make their living on making sure that these platforms do impact our mental. So the only defense and the best defense that you have is to get off often so that you can keep your priorities straight, and keep your self identity very clear. Um, that would definitely be my advice is concerning social media and media in general. That includes the news, which can be very helpful. I mean, very harmful at
Mhm.
times. So that would be first. I would also add that previous generations definitely did not have the level of stimulation that we progressively have more and more of and have to interact with to some degree in order to survive in our modern climate. And so there has been an increase in a lot of different types of mental health issues, especially getting younger and younger. In addition to the technology, though, we do have some social aspects that contribute to my generation's mental unrest or the heightened instances of suicides and things that just keeps getting more and more as we get younger, um, or as we look at younger demographics, I should say. And what I'm referring to, especially in the Black community, is the fact that millennials are the first generation conceived after integration in America. And so there's a lot of unwinding socially that has taken place in our lifetime, watching our parents figure it out. And then, there's still a lot of things that are being taught by that generation, people who weren't necessarily excited about integration in the Black community and in the other communities. So the the blanket of racism that comes from the previous generation, right? And then the continued racism that we're constantly exposed to, the violence on the social media platforms, on the news. Those are the types of things that make money. They get viewers. So they're going to show you this content that's heartbreaking and makes you feel isolated, and makes you feel otherized. And then because our socialization, as opposed to your generation socialization, is really a false socialization, we feel even lonelier, even though we have access to literally the whole world. You touched on a lot of important things. You talked about how your generation was more likely to be outside, getting sunlight. It's a huge deal for your mental health. I make sure that I get at least 30 minutes of sun every day, because I know without it, my physical health will suffer just like everyone else's. So if you're not in a regular practice of going outside, every generation, go outside, breathe the fresh air in, go for a walk, step away from the computer, the devices, leave the cell phone at home if you feel safe to do so. Take your shoes off and put your feet on the earth. It's a practice called grounding. It's going to literally pull negative ions out of your body. It reverses the effects of holding your cell phone all the time, literally. Touch a tree, it speeds up the process. So if you can get out in nature as often as you can, when I say I do this every day, unless it's pouring down rain, I'm outside for at least 30 minutes. I've got my shoes off and I don't have any devices on me. I'm in the sun. Find some time. If you can't do it every day, plan to
Mhm.
do it several times a week. You will definitely see an improvement in your mental health. And another thing that you brought up that your generation was more likely to do, that my generation has gradually gotten away from, is spending actual physical time with others on a regular basis.
Mhm.
You mentioned going outside and playing basketball, being active. Um, Social media creates a false sense of being socially and relationally full, that you don't get the real interaction and the real benefits from being around others.
Mhm.
And then the types of things that get shared on social media make you feel even more isolated. My heart breaks for Regina King. I can't imagine what that must be like, for your son to end his life. And then I read some of the tweets, some of his final tweets, and he said things like, Instagram is not good for me. He made a reference to SpongeBob to depict how there's all these things going on in his mind, and a lot of people on social media see posts like that, and they automatically say that that person's just trying to get attention. They automatically don't take people seriously, and we have to remember that people are humans. These are human beings on the other side of these computers. If they are trying to get attention, maybe they need it. What's wrong with that?
Mhm.
What is wrong with There's nothing wrong with someone needing attention. That is basic human need. So it causes us to lack empathy. Whereas when we see somebody in person and they look sad, our empathy centers in our brain are triggered. When we read a social media post, they're not. So if you can, if you're isolated, I've been pretty isolated for the last 3 years living here in North Louisiana. I don't have a lot of people around me, and it's been extremely hard.
Mhm.
So I have made my social life a big priority. I will move things around, so that I can go visit a friend for a week.
Mm-hmm.
Because I understand that is important to my longevity, these relationships. I will go on vacation. I will go on vacation with my family more than once a year so that I can be around people who love me. Take your relationships extremely seriously, and get around people. Let people touch you. Hold hands with somebody. I know we're in a pandemic. Find you 3 people that you can spend time with on a on a regular basis. You're all quarantining. You're being very safe. You're getting tested on a regular basis. You're vaccinated, but spend the time. You need to be looking at someone in the eyes. You need to have someone hug you. Hugging for 20 seconds. Oh my goodness, the health benefits of a 20-second hug. There's a whole show. I could do a whole show on that. Um,
Okay. Mm-hmm.
so,
Hey, okay, that's next month. That's next month's show. Remember it, hugging. Okay.
okay,
I
hugging.
think that'd be a very interesting show.
Yes. Oh, and it's Valentine's Day next month
Oh
too. So
yeah, that's right.
we can talk about the benefits of intimacy.
Mm-hmm.
So
That's
I took off running with your question, but I really hope I answered it.
Oh yeah, yeah, you did. Because like I said, my generation looked forward to going to school because we didn't have technology to go home and sit on technology and talk to our friends. Okay, it was like you got your little girlfriend in school. You just, you leave school, you ready to get back to school the next day to see your girlfriend. Okay, that's how we operated. Okay, we didn't have the technology. I mean, so much is driving, the young people these days that it really messes with their psyche. And your community of friends is is your friends on Facebook, okay, or how many
Hmm.
people you have on Instagram, how many people you have on TikTok. That's your community of friends. People you're never going to touch, people you're never going to meet, people that won't be there to help you if you run out of gasoline or have a flat tire.
Come on.
Okay,
Mhm.
so things have really changed, and I think that's been a detriment to to your generation, because I see I have a 24-year-old here at home, and I can see it in her life, how technology drives her and affects her, and not meeting people. You wanted to go out on weekends to hang out with your friends, hang out with the boys, okay? Because we didn't have nothing, no other way to hang out. It was
Right.
physically going out to hang out. Even if we didn't do nothing but excuse the expression, go to 7-Eleven somewhere and get a bottle of wine and walk up and down the sidewalk drinking that. That's how we got together. Okay, we
Yeah.
socialized that way. That was it. But
Hmm.
you all are cooped up in the house now with Facebook and Twitter. You know,
Especially with the pandemic. I
yeah.
mean, I didn't have a thriving social life beforehand here in
Hmm.
North Louisiana,
Yeah.
but at least I was able to go out and be around people.
Hmm.
I'm an extrovert.
Hmm.
So, I like people.
Hmm.
um, so, yeah, but the pandemic has definitely hurt mental health from a lot of angles.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've always been an outgoing person. I love talking to people, and I talk to everybody everywhere I go. But coming out, as we're starting to go out again, I developed social anxiety. I've never had that before in my life, but I pulled up at Walmart to go get groceries, and I sat in the car and I was just
Hmm.
like not wanting to go in because it just seems like there's so many people in there. And what about COVID? Being nervous about that. And do I still know how to interact with people in
Right.
person? It creates so many layers of trouble there. So I would definitely encourage anyone who can to get therapy. Therapy helps with these things.
Hmm.
Having a trained professional, somebody who is licensed in clinical therapy or behavioral
Hmm.
therapy, cognitive therapy. And if you don't know the differences, just go to a therapist,
Hmm.
a licensed one. Um, and it's not just to sit there and talk. I can talk about my feelings to my wife, sure, but your wife or whomever your person that you go to is not going to be able to say, hmm, it sounds like what you're dealing with is some repressed trauma. So
Hmm.
here's a follow-up question that I know to ask you because I've studied this. And I'm going to present to you solutions. You
Mm-hmm.
think that you're this way because that's just how you are, but really, what you have is a coping mechanism,
Mm-hmm.
and you've been using it for so long that now you think that that's a part of your identity.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your wife might not. She thinks that's how you are too.
Right.
You know, you've been like that since you met her. So
Mm-hmm.
being in a therapy setting with a trained professional is going to help you identify things about yourself that move you to the next level of joy. You're able to find more joy in your life because you understand yourself better. You've gotten more solutions. You have a footing under you. You have answers to things, and they help you process through. You're not just talking about your feelings, you're processing through things to get somewhere. You're advancing on a journey.
Yeah. Very interesting stuff. One of the things I've done since this COVID thing, my inner circle now is my family. And that's how we've, gotten through having, little get-togethers on Sunday, or like yesterday we had at my niece's house. She fixed chili and some kind of Italian soup. She had peach cobbler and stuff. Just getting together among family. And that's how we've done it. And we just have limited ourselves, the inner circle, to people that we know have had the vaccine and everything, and it's just been a family gathering, and that's been it. I have a couple of friends I've hung out with, but that's how we, have kept our sanity throughout this whole process. Just limited to the family.
I
Uh,
know my invitation got lost in the mail. I'm going to keep looking for it.
hey, come on up one weekend
I
and
love
hang
peach
out with us.
cobbler.
Hey, look, come on up for the summer, because, like I said,
Oh yeah.
one thing I plan to do this year. I'm not ashamed of my age, because I'm glad I've lived this long. This summer will be my 65th birthday, and I'm gonna party. Okay,
Yes.
I'm gonna
Yes.
party. So I'm already got
65
that in the
years
back of my head. Nothing is gonna stop it. Okay, if you got to wear hazmat suits, and that's what you're gonna wear, but nothing's gonna stop that. Because I enjoy celebrating life. I enjoy celebrating the journey I've been on so far, and I'm gonna keep celebrating as much as I can and everything. So, Raven, it's been, as always, a pleasure to sit down and talk to you tonight. Because, like I said, we're gonna be doing this the whole year, talking about mental health. It's something we need to talk about. Because we too much is going on. Too many young people are committing suicide. Too
Mhm.
many people are just giving up hope. And we're living in some trying times. Okay, let's be honest. COVID has really put a damper and a dent on the world and the life. I mean, gosh, every day you get up with something new concerning COVID. And
A
so
new
it's
variant.
changed. Yeah, it's changed the way we do things. It's changed the way we live. And unfortunately, this virus is here to stay. It might go down in numbers. It might go get into a point where it's something we're able to live with, but it's here.
Yeah.
And who thought, that at this day and time we'd be, dealing with a pandemic going into the third year. March 13th goes into the third year. So I don't know, but we got to work on our psyche. We got to stay positive and stay happy. That's what we got to do. So again, Raven, final words real quick for Tony Kills Me.
Find a way to laugh. Find a way to love you.
And I love me. I love me some me. Okay.
There we go.
If nobody in this world loves me, I love myself. Okay.
That's what I'm talking about.
And that's how I roll and everything. So tomorrow night, won't you come back and join me tomorrow night on Real World News TV, as we, Tony and I, discuss the topic. So blacks aren't Americans. I can't wait to get on that topic tomorrow night. Because we got some issues in this country, and that's another thing that can bear down your psyche. Okay, that's something else can bear down your psyche. The politics of America, especially if you're
Yes.
black in America, can really, blow your mind and blow your way. So that's what
You're
we're
gonna
going
get me
to
on a soapbox now.
uh,
I said
what
you're
you
gonna get me on a soapbox now.
Hey, come on back and plug in with us tomorrow night, because I'm gonna be like on top of tomorrow night. So blacks
I
aren't
sure
Americans. Hey, Something new. We learn something new every day about us, don't we? So look
Every day.
again, Raven. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight. So next month, we already know what the topic is going to be next month. Hugs, okay? That's how we got to roll. Next month is the month of love. So I want everyone to go out and have a good rest of the week. Enjoy yourselves. Hey, stay safe. Get your vaccine. Get your booster. If you're not wear a mask. Do something. Stay alive. Okay. Do what you got to do to make it. Okay. And make it with a smile. Enjoy life every day. Love yourself. Okay. Raven, again, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's always a pleasure to hang out with you. And I look forward to next month hanging out with you. Okay.
See you next time.
Take care. Peace out, everyone. Good night.